Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do a quick addendum to the video that's going to follow in a moment. I am using these gorgeous stamps from Crafty Individuals, and I contacted Crafty Individuals and asked them whether they would like to do some sort of collaboration thing with me and be able to pass on some discounts to you guys. I hadn't realised, but this stamp had actually been put into retirement. But they have very, very, very amazingly reintroduced the stamp. And they have also given me a discount code for 20% off for my subscribers, which is absolutely incredible and amazing. So all the details are linked below, and if you head to their website, obviously that's where you can use the 20% off coupon. So very, very excited. I also have some beautiful new stamps which I'm going to be using over the next few weeks, and lots of exciting things to come on my channel. So I've waffled enough, but yeah, the discount code shown below, and enjoy. Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So today I thought we would come along and have a bit of a play using one stamp to produce two completely different coloured, or not, well, they will be different coloured, but two completely different looking pieces, using the same stamp and the same techniques, but hopefully to produce two really quite different looking final results, I guess. So I've got here this gorgeous stamp. This is a Crafty Individuals stamp. Again, I don't think I have got the packaging to hand. I will try and have a look and remember to put what this stamp is. But she's absolutely beautiful, if you can kind of see there. I have mounted her on some foam, and this is where I've obviously stamped onto the foam so that you can see what she is. So she's a beautiful stamp. I'm using her. I should be using my jet black StazOn. I love the StazOn inks, and I will also be using, I think, this azure StazOn. I love that colour, and have used it lots of times in the past. Hopefully I'm going to then be able to incorporate my Tim Holtz Distress ink in the blueprint sketch, which I've been wanting to have a play with and use a little bit more than I have done so far, because it's such a striking colour, and hopefully it's going to complement the azure really nicely. I've tried to tie my ring in, obviously, to the blue theme. But this, the black one, we're obviously going to do, not blue or anything, so that we have two different looking pieces. So here I've got some coffee dyed paper. This is just some paper that I have printed on, in the past, and I haven't actually got around to using it. So I'm just going to use that to stamp my pieces on. So I'll just take my black StazOn, really give it a good covering. These are quite thirsty stamps, and obviously because I haven't now used it for a little while, it's much more likely to need a lot of ink, if that makes sense. Somebody did give me a fantastic tip about using glycerine to coat stamps that are very thirsty. I mean, I call them ink thirsty. I don't know really how you describe it, but I'm sure that you all know what I mean. Some stamps just seem to really suck up the ink, and you have to stamp them several times to get a really good impression. I mean, that's come out fantastically, hasn't it? And I had stamped it twice before I came on. So I'll just show you the very first one that I did earlier. You can kind of see the difference, but perfectly usable. But obviously it just gets better the more you use it in one sitting. So that's what I've done there. And then what I'm going to do is stamp the same stamp again, this time. And I'm going to try and look after my stamps a little bit better, because I'm really rubbish at looking after my stamps and my inks and things. So I'm going to just wipe off some of her skirt and then stamp over her skirt again, or the skirt area again, with the azure. So I'm hoping that this is going to then produce, a predominantly black stamp, but with, just a hint of a blue skirt. So we'll see. obviously, like all these things, you do them on camera and invariably then they don't really pan out, but I'm hoping that this does. So I'll just press that down. Okay, so just lift that lightly. Okay, so it's come out, you know, a bit, and I'm hoping that what we're going to do and how we're going to decorate is going to really bring that blue out so that you can see it much more. So I'll just bring it up to the camera so that you can kind of see, because I'm not sure how visible it was, you know, lower down. Can you see there? She's got quite a lot of blue there in her skirt. So all I'm going to do now is just tear my pieces out. So I'm just going to sit down because I've been standing up to stamp. If they're quite a large stamp like this, I do find that it helps to just stand up sometimes. So I'm just going to tear these out. You know, and of course you could cut, you know, cut your stamps instead. I just quite like the torn edges. So just tear her like that. I'll just tear that in because there was sort of blank space there. I could just tear that piece down because it's a little bit, you know, lopsided. Or, well, not lopsided, but wiggly. Let's call it wiggly. And then this one here. I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're getting some crafting done. We had a really nice weekend. It was okay weather. It started out on Saturday quite bright and nice. It kind of gradually got cloudier as the day went by, but we made the most of it. We went for a really nice walk and then we went to see my mum and dad and things, and yeah, just had a generally nice time. So that was good. Right, so I'm just going to take this piece of paper here just to sort of lay them on whilst I distress them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this one here and distress her a bit with my, I'm still on the walnut stain, so I'm actually really liking the walnut stain. I might convert over to it for a while. So just trying to ink around a bit more, you know, solely the edges, if that makes sense, so as I'm not getting it too much on her. Okay, so she looks really lovely already, doesn't she? I mean, it helps because it's obviously a really nice stamp. Right, I should probably be very good here and well behaved and change my sponge. I never do this, but because I'm trying to be good and preserve the life of my ink pads, I will change my sponge. So hold on, because I don't want to just completely ruin my new blueprint sketch one. Now this obviously quite dark, so oh, it doesn't really go with that azure as well as I'd hoped, but never mind, we will tie them in. So there we go. So I think what I might do is just dab a bit of the blueprint sketch over her skirt as well, because that will just kind of bring in the two blues. So I'm not kind of covering it completely, but hopefully you can see that. So I've got obviously the blue from the azure and then just a bit of the blueprint sketch there, you know, sort of as well. So I might just kind of go around that and just try and shade that in a bit. Or perhaps what I need to do is now swap my sponge again. This is why I can't be bothered with these swapping sponges, you see. And then I'll just go around it a bit with the walnut stain, but this time kind of you know, instead of just the edges, actually going over it, because it's sort of toning the blueprint sketch down a little bit. So there we go. Yeah, that looks better, because it was just a little bit in your face, you know, when I first stamped it. So what I've got here, I've just got a piece that I had folded previously. I didn't fold this for this project. This just was floating about on my desk, and I found it and thought, oh, that's just going to be perfect for this project, because colour wise it just couldn't be better. I'm going to do this flap slightly smaller because it's quite big and overhanging, obviously, my lady quite a bit. Now I'm trying to keep this quite rustic looking, so I'm just going to tear along here like that, and I don't think that's very straight, so I will have to trim that down slightly here. Okay, and then I'm just going to do this, which I know is not to everybody's liking, but I like doing this, you know, just roughing up the edges, and particularly because I've torn this just really then goes really well with the torn edges. Okay, so I already like how that looked. If I just move this out of the way a little bit. So I'm going to just do a bit of stamping in the background, again in some blue. So I think, obviously I always love my favourite stamp here, but I'm wondering whether it might just be a bit too big, because she's quite delicate and what's in the background of her is quite delicate. So I'm going to use this little corner stamp. Excuse my fingers now, I'm already covered in ink, and we've only been on film probably for about 10 minutes. Doesn't bode well for the rest of the video, does it? By the end I'm clearly going to be completely covered. There'll be more ink than flesh, more ink than hands. Right, there we go. So I've just stamped in the corners. Excuse my throat today, it's a little bit you know, frog in the throat. So I've stamped the corners. Now what I could do is kind of go down to fill in the sides, so I will just do that like this, and then that's just made that a complete frame. So all I've done is taken like a strip of the stamp, if that makes sense, and you know, completely up to you, you could use either side, and all I'm doing is inking up just a portion, so just that edge. I hope this is on film, just that edge, and then just press it down just that edge, and then you've got yourself, you know, a little fancy frame. So there we go. And again, I mean, you know, don't worry if you ended up with more, because you know, she sat in there. So if, for example, my corner stamp had stamped in, it doesn't matter, because she's going to cover that up anyway. So, you know, just play around and sort of see what happens. Right, now I'm just wondering whether to stamp, or sorry, ink up my edges in blue a little bit. So let's put my blue sponge back on. Now I have to be a bit mindful that this is quite bright, so I don't know how much that's actually showing on here, to be honest. Oh, I think it is actually. Certainly was that time. Right. Obviously, you know, went against completely what I have been going on about. Oh, I must remember that this is very bright, and just plonked it on there, and came out very blue, but that's fine. So go around all of your edges. Okay, now this has been coffee dyed, so the inside is, you know, looking pretty good anyway, but you know, we could just ink up just a couple of bits in the blue just to continue with the blue theme. Maybe just a bit in there. Like that, okay. Okie dokie. Right, so she's like on there like that. Now what I had meant to do was get some lace out ready. I have got this blue lace. I don't know whether this is going to be completely the wrong colour blue, but let's have a look. Oh, striking colour. Now probably lots of you are thinking, oh no, don't do that, you're just making it look really blue. I also have got this flower, which again had been floating on my desk. Excuse me, I've obviously got a cold now on its way, so I do apologise. I'm inking this up quite heavily to try and disguise, oops, that swirly pattern. Because although I liked the flower like that, obviously that wasn't really in keeping with, you know, what I was trying to achieve here. So just cover that completely. So it's pretty well disguised now. And then we could go over that maybe with a bit of the blue stays on. I'm just thinking we could kind of do some swirly stamping, maybe even just with this small corner stamp, and that will further cover, you know, what was there. So you can't actually see that stamping, if that makes sense, but it has disguised further the, you know, what was this on the back. So it's just about, I was just trying to hide basically what had been there. So I'll just swap my sponges again, and I'm just going to just then tone it down slightly with the walnut stain. Just so it's not quite so bright. There we go. So she looks really pretty now. Now, I have got my little butterflies here. Just see if I've got... So I've got a couple of blue toned ones that I could use. So let me just cut out. Actually, I've got a few. There's our possibilities. So I'll just grab those and see which one is going to tone best with this. Just wondering, or did I want a contrast? No, I'm not going to have a contrast. Right. Okay, so we've got the lightish blue, this one, or this one. Right, I think that one's too dark, so not that one. So it's between these two. I think this one. So I'll just quickly cut this one out. Oops. And again, you know, as I always say, don't be too worried when you're cutting things like butterflies, because, you know, they're not going to be perfect. You know, when they are in nature, they're not perfectly symmetrical necessarily and things like that, are they? So, you know, don't get too hung up on, oh, you know, must follow the curve perfectly, because you don't have to worry too much. It's not like a circle where it's going to be completely apparent if you've, you know, gone off slightly. Okay, so I've just inked around the edge in that blue slightly, And that just disguises any kind of white space that was left from my cutting, basically. So there we go. Now I'm wondering whether I want to have anything else in the background, or you know, layer her up at all. So I'm just having a look, seeing what I've got laying around on my desk. What have I got? I mean, we've got a ticket here. We could add a ticket behind her or something. Let me just bring that blue lace back in. I mean, I don't necessarily have to have the lace, and that is quite a vibrant lace, which, I mean, you know, maybe is a good thing, maybe not so much. Oh, it's so difficult. Let me just ink up my ticket slightly and blue around the edge. Just a bit. I must say, it looks really pretty with that blue just kind of bringing it out of itself. Do you know, I'm not sure about the lace, which that's just like really a first for me, but maybe the lace is kind of the fly in the ointment here. Now, do we prefer the ticket poking out, or do we prefer it in front? Oh, let's have it poking out behind, because I just need to crack on. I'm going to be here all day otherwise. Right, I'm going to use this glue because my other glue is like in my bag from the weekend when we've been to my mum and dad's. I'd taken my bag with me just in case we were there for ages, and I might have had to, you know, start crafting. There we go. Okay, right, like how she looks like that. So I'm just going to glue her down. Come on, glue, don't let me down. Okay, so I just glue her on here. Like that. Excuse my very inky white now. It's obviously where I've dabbed at the stamp earlier. It's got the black ink all over it now. Right, like that with the butterfly just there. I'm just wondering whether we, you know, maybe that was an overdose of lace in such a long strip. Right, let's pop the butterfly on. Should really check my filming situation because I haven't done that so far. Okay, well that's good. I was still filming. I just suddenly thought, wow, I haven't checked that once. Imagine if it's actually not filming at all. Right, so we could have it like that, and I'm just wondering whether I've got anything pink that would pick up the from those pink tickets. Oh, that looks awful. About it's layered. No, I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Got a blue flower. No. No, no, no. Right. So let's just ink. I wonder if... I don't want to obviously make this really dark because then, you know, it would just be lost, but it's quite bright, so let's just see. Perhaps something like that is quite nice. And I think what I'll do, again, just got to swap my sponges. This is why I can't be bothered ever to swap the sponges, because I just find that a bit boring. Probably should buy some more blending tools, and then I could just have a whole bunch of them in, you know, ready with different sponges. Well, to be honest, I would only lose them anyway. They'd be just buried amongst rubbish on my desk, so that's probably just pointless. Absolutely pointless. Right, let's have a look and see whether I've got any other lace that we might like to add to this. So I've got this pretty lace here. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? What do you think? Take the lace away again. Yep, with the lace. Always better with more, isn't it? Right. Which really means, you know, I needn't have bothered with all the inking and what have you off this flap, but never mind. Right. Come on. Make sure I've got the lace the right way up. Just pop that down like that. And then what I'm going to do is, obviously I'll just cut this round. So just trim it off here and then trim it off kind of along here. I'm making obviously a hideous job of doing this. Hideous job. Oh. Oh well, that will have to do. I could maybe use some of this somewhere else actually. It's always nice to be able to use up things, isn't it? And not waste anything at all. Oops. Pop that on there. Pop this down. Just like that. Now, might just have that on there. It just kind of adds a little something, you know. So, just a little strip. I don't want it going right the way across, but just a bit like that. Okay, that's it, and we can trim that off now. And then, do we want a bit of bling? Because obviously things just aren't the same without bling, are they? So I'll just see if we want some either on my butterfly here. Just wondered whether we might want to cut just one, have it in the centre of that flower, or kind of have some just maybe along there or something. This actually looks quite bohemian now, I think. What do you guys think? Okay. Oops. There we go. Just pop that down there. And then just pop that little strip on the butterfly. And then I think this one's nearly done. So then we'll work on the other one. There we go. Really pretty. Now I'm still wondering whether we want anything in the centre of that flower. Having a look to see if I've got any small pearls. I don't know quite what's happened to my stash of small pearls, but perhaps it's time to buy some more because I don't seem to be able to find them. Ah, here we go. Just a lone pearl floating about in my tin. Yeah, we'll just pop that little pearl in there. It just finishes it off. I mean, probably, you know, it's probably fine without, but we as crafters would know that it was just missing something, wouldn't we? Come on. That glue didn't want to come out then. It's a full bottle. Let's but obviously it's just got that, you know, didn't want to play the game feeling about it today. Right, so that's my first piece, obviously using that beautiful lady stamp. Really pretty. I mean, I think she looks quite bohemian. I don't know about you guys, but she looks gorgeous, doesn't she? I mean, bohemian, although she's not bohemian at all in her style, but the actual finished piece maybe looks a little bit bohemian, I think. So that's that one. So I'm going to pull in the next one, which we're going to obviously try and make her look completely different. So what I thought we could do for her is have her much more sort of neutrally toned. Now I've finally worked on putting together a little printable of my little rosebuds. I know that lots of people had asked in the past, could I put them in my shop? And I kind of have been stalling because I just thought, oh, really, you know, really, do people want them? And then I just thought, oh, you know, I might as well put them in because I actually find them quite handy to use. So perhaps other people would, you know. So I'm thinking that now. So what I actually did when I put the, or I don't know whether the rosebuds are actually completed and put in my shop yet, but they're not while I'm doing this video, but when I upload it, perhaps they will be. I put together a little kit to go with my watercolour flowers, which, yeah, it's just a smallish kit, but this is one of the background pages for it. So shall we do her in a similar style to this one, so that we can compare the two even though they're in different styles, if that makes sense, because that way it's kind of easier to get a comparison, isn't it? So this is another one of the background pages, obviously, for those rosebuds. So I'm just wondering if I layer her like that and pop her on the green. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So I'll just tear around this one. Just get it kind of smaller because at the moment it's quite big and we didn't layer this one at all. So right, I'm going to move my blue sponge right out the way before I do anything with blue. I'm going to move my blue ink out of the way because that will be the next thing. Obviously, I can see it happening already, that suddenly she'll be inked up in blue. Admittedly, I would have to change the sponge, but hey, stranger things have happened. There we go. So I'm just going to glue her on there in the first instance. I don't need to ink her up because obviously she's already been inked up. And we're keeping her sort of neutral. I say that, but actually now I'm thinking, I wonder whether we could just give her skirt a bit of a pink makeover. Well, let's see how she looks, and then we'll decide whether she needs a bit of a pink makeover or not. So we'll just pop her down like that in the first instance, and then yeah, just wondering, I quite like her on that darker green, strangely enough. So I'm just looking through the background pages, seeing how best. Oh, she's quite nice on there, isn't she? No, I'm going to put her on this. Oh, no, I'm not sure now. Yeah, I'm going to put her on the plainer one. Right, decisions, you see, it's just pathetic. Pathetic decision making when it's just crafting, but you know, we want to get it right, don't we? So I'm just going to cut this down to make my folding piece. Oops. Got rosebuds now falling around all over everywhere. Okay. So yeah, probably quite like her there. So probably now need to just judge where I need to have my folds and things. So what I might do is ink this piece up, glue it down, and then fold my shape. And again, I'm just inking, you know, more the actual edges of this rather than all over inking, if that makes sense. She looks really nice like that. So I'm going to glue her on. I'm going to glue her on, I think, with that rosebud just poking out. Okay. Pop her down like that. Just squash her down. There we go. Right, so she looks nice, doesn't she? And then I'm just going to fold this round. Obviously I'm going to have this one opening the other way because my paper obviously is, you know, lending itself to it, to needing to open the other way, if that makes sense. So I'll just fold her round like that. And then what I'm going to do is trim this side down. So I'll just trim that down there. Oops, she's looking a little bit big, isn't she? I think I'll have to fold that slightly further in. Oh, this is where just doing a video is like never a good idea, you know. Because then everyone sees all of your mistakes and things. Should really turn that over just in case I pick up any blue. Right, so that's better. And actually I'm just going to trim this side down slightly more. Otherwise she was kind of like this big fat fold out, you know, which was a bit weird. So we're just going to fold that over there like that. And then again, I'm just going to then trim that down because it's quite big. It doesn't need to be that big. So obviously this piece I'm cutting where this piece we tore, so that's, you know, straight away sort of a bit of a different overall appearance. I'm just going to trim that along the bottom to make it look a bit straighter. Oops. Okie dokie. So I like how that looks so far. Now I'm just going to ink that up a little bit. And again, I'm just going to sort of ink around the edges rather than all over it, if that makes sense. I am normally a bit of an inking all over person, but trying to restrain myself and just ink the edges. Okay. She says, as straight away I started to ink all over. I think I find the inking around the edges quite fiddly. Quite fiddly and quite tedious, whereas when you ink all over it's just quick and easy. Right, so she looks nice already like that. Now I've cut out a couple of rosebuds already that I thought that I would use for this, because I don't know about you, I wouldn't normally marry her up with cutesy kind of rosebuds really, but there's something quite charming, I think, about it, and I just wanted to achieve something a little bit different, you know, away from the norm. You know, we normally have our very vintage roses and things like that, and I wanted to just do something that was completely, you know, different to that, I suppose. So Let me just have a look and bring my sheet of rosebuds back in. I'll just cut out a couple more. Now, this was my prototype sheet, so I have actually changed the sheets slightly because some of them were very, very close to one another. So the finished one, as I said, I don't even know whether it's actually in my shop or not, but the finished one will actually be a few less on there, but slightly better spread out, hopefully. Just so it's a bit easier for cutting them out, really. I mean, you still get tons and they'll still be pretty close together, but just one or two were almost touching, so I've just, you know, tried to adjust them slightly. Right, so let's do this quite biggish one here. This biggish one that I've now chopped straight into its leaf, so it's got like one minuscule leaf and one normal size, or you know, in a good ratio to the size of the flower. Oh well, never mind. Like we always say, nobody really knows what that flower's supposed to look like. Well, especially these, because they're not even a breed of flower, they're just my made up ones. Right, let's just have a word on this one. So I'm just going to take the word beautiful. Just ink that up as well. Okay, looking good so far. Now, I probably do want to have a bit of lace on here, so let me just rummage and find. So I might put my word on a bit of lace. So that's my first bit of lace there. Okay. Oops. Okay, so just wait for a couple of minutes for that to dry. Now, just wondering what lace we might like to have along there. Oh, you know what lace would look probably really good on this is, you know, that lovely crochet lace that Laura had gifted me. So I'm just having a little rummage through my tiny little paper bag, which is now bursting at the seams and literally on its last legs, but where I like to just keep offcuts of lace and things. Just seeing whether I have got any of that left. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I have got a tiny bit, but actually maybe I haven't. No, I can't see any. Oh, that's really annoying. Hold on, because I just thought it would be perfect on there. Oh, come on. Worst of it is, it probably is in here and just is buried, and I can't now see it. So I'll end up going with something else, and then obviously the second it's glued down, it was just kind of appear at the top of the bag. As if by magic, completely. Sorry, I know this is really not very enjoyable watching just, well, effectively you're watching nothing, because I'm just here literally rummaging through this little stuffed bag full of laces and fabrics. Right, well, I can't find any, so maybe I haven't got any left. So I'm thinking maybe we'll just go for that same lace that we used on the blue one. So let me just trim that down, just because I want to spare you, really spare you my endless deliberation over, oh, shall I use this, shall I use that, because at the end of the day that's probably not very exciting to be watching, is it? So right, just cut out my word from that lace. I mean, of course, could put some white lace, I guess, down there. That might be quite nice. Right, okay, so my first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just pop the word on. So again, I'm just committing to this, putting a bit of glue on there. Okay, because I just find it really helpful once, you know, once I've got a plan, to just start progressing with it rather than keep thinking, oh, shall I, shan't I, you know, because otherwise that can go on endlessly for me. So I'm better off just going for it and getting cracking, really, as it were. Right, I'm going to stick this little rosebud down here. Oops. Just apply a dab of glue on there, like that. Okay. And then I don't want it to look like we're doing it in the corners, if that makes sense, because that's just strange, isn't it, to just have them all over at the corners. So maybe we just need one here, just edging off where the word is. That's quite nice. Wow, I had a lot of glue on there. Let me dab some of that off. It suddenly went from obviously not wanting to come out to just pouring out. There we go. Okay, now, do we want the white lace here? Or do we want the beige lace? Oh, flicking the flower around. I prefer the beige, I think. So, yeah. Let me get rid of the white lace to the side so that's no longer a distraction. Otherwise, there's a tendency to just keep on, you know, trying it there. Okay, so let's just pop this lace down here. Okie dokie. I'll just pop that down. Doesn't really need trimming off at the back this time because this is obviously a wider flap, so it looks, you know, good as it is. Right, just ink my little rosebud slightly. Pop that down there. Okie dokie. Oh, that looks so pretty. Okay, right. Now, again, do we want some bling? Because, oh, I just can't not have bling. Might not need it, but we should at least have a look, shouldn't we? Heaven forbid that we wouldn't even try. And also, I've just got that tiny bit of lace obviously left from the other one, so I just wonder whether we need that anywhere. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not on this one, weirdly. Oh, maybe down there. What do you guys think? Right, let's just snip off. Oh, perhaps we'll have it like that. So we just literally pop that bit of lace down here. Eventually, when the glue decides to cooperate and come out, there we go. Actually, that's the better end, so I'm just going to chop that down, just because that other end was very flimsy looking and this end just was the better end. So there we go. Just pop a tad more glue on there because obviously I haven't glued quite far along enough. There we go. Right, so that looks really nice, and then I'm just going to pop that bit of bling on there. So hold on, hang on, just pop that down. Okay, Okay, right. Oh gosh, look at it. Literally stuck onto me. Literally hanging off. Ugh, just literally stuck all over. Right, let me just press that down. Oops. Oh, now look. Just, I've got glue like stuck all over me, so it's making everything just stick to everything I touch now, which is not so great. Hold on 2 moments while I just shut the door because my husband's on the phone. Right, okay. Okie dokie. So I think probably that's got enough stuff on it. There is always a temptation to do more and more and more, because obviously that's me. But what we could do is just pop a couple of little rosebuds inside, which would just then, you know, tie that in and finish that off really nicely. So I just pop that down there like that. Oops. And I don't think we inked the inside of here at all, so we can just kind of ink around there. Okay, just ink around, just get down the folds, just there. Okay, do we want another one? Yeah, and we'll just pop one there. Just dab that off a bit on my finger because it was a little bit too gluey. Right, there we go. So I just press that down. Now, I mean, I think that's pretty much finished now, because otherwise I'm just playing with it for the sake of it. I did wonder about obviously inking up her skirt. So shall I show you what I mean by that? And then we can decide. So basically what I meant was just going through my pile of distress inks that I've got piled up here. Oops. Hold on. They're on my little shelf behind my desk. So now I've got this pickled raspberry, very bright, as you can see. Now what I wondered was, and we'll try it out on this piece so that we can see how it would look. I just wondered whether I could just dip my finger in. Now you see that is quite bright, but just kind of do a little bit of shading just over her dress to just pull in the pink a little bit from like the rosebuds. So if we just put her there, imagine how she would look with the pink. Do you know what? Let's be brave. Let's just do that, because sometimes I just think play it too safe and you don't kind of then experiment enough. Well, I didn't mean you, I meant me, obviously, but maybe time to do a bit more experimenting. So just need a little bit. It's a shame I've glued all this down, but just a bit there behind that rose. There we go. Yay! Now obviously if that's looking a bit bright, we can just tone that down a bit with the walnut stain. There we go. So that just kind of gives it a bit more of a vintage feel then again. Okay, so that's our two pieces, obviously using the same stamp. They're the same stamp, they're the same effectively, you know, concept, but I think they've turned out pretty different and, you know, look really differently to one another. So hopefully that's given you some kind of other ideas of, you know, how far your supplies can go, if that makes sense. That, you know, I mean, I do have my favourite stamps, as you all know, that I pull in time and time and time again. But I mean, I don't think that that's a problem, because I think they can have very different looks. You know, these I think look very different, and if they were in a journal would take on quite a different look, really. So I'll just see if I've got anything as a junk journal page to just show you. I mean, this is not obviously a junk journal page, but just to kind of show you how they would look. So that's that one, if it were on a page. Beautiful, you know, piece. And then this is this one, if it were on a page. Equally nice, but, you know, I think provides quite a different sort of look. So I hope that you've enjoyed the video, and yeah, have fun if you're going to be doing some playing with stamps. I always like a bit of playing with stamps. So yeah, have fun, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. Thanks then. Bye.